It's the 2nd of April today when I'm filming this video. Don't know when you guys are watching it, but April, the whole of April is Autism Awareness Month. So we're going to kick off this video, we're going to kick off Autism Awareness Month by talking about some of the positive things that go alongside our autism. So if you don't know autism, it's a neurodevelopmental condition. It's a genetic condition. That means that we're born with it. It's usually passed on by one of your immediate members of family. So we think in my situation it was passed on by my dad, and he's lightly autistic himself. We have it our entire existence. It's not something that we just have and then we grow out of. A lot of people say, can you grow out of the symptoms of autism? And that's not the case. It's there with us. It's neurodevelopmental, so it's within our neurological makeup, our biological makeup. And there's so many different positive things that go alongside autism, and that's what we're going to go into in this video. So the first positive thing that autistic people bring to the universe is our ability to hyper-focus. And what that means is, especially if you've got an autistic person in the workplace or somebody that is doing their special interest, we can often fixate and focus on those things that we're really interested in for long periods of time. And oftentimes that can be for hours or for days or for weeks and sometimes months. And although we can forget to eat or we can forget to do chores or brush our hair or whatever it might be, because we're so interested in that moment in learning more about our special interest or our subject of interest, it's a real positive thing, because we can actually we literally become mini experts in things that we learn, and sometimes we can know more about that particular subject than the people that have degrees or whatever in it. I know that might be a bit controversial, but autistic people, we really can take learning something to the extreme. The second thing is that autistic people have a real strong sense of social justice. That can be right and wrong, that can be truth and lies, and we can call people out on things that we don't like. So if somebody breaks the law, a lot of autistic people, we're not all the same, so you are going to get those autistic people who do break the law, who do things wrong, who do go to jail, who might also have other conditions alongside autism that conflict that diagnosis and cause complications. But the vast majority of autistic people, we're law-abiding citizens, and we like the people to follow rules and regulations. Often you see that in autistic people in work environments. I was the same when I was at work, and oftentimes work environments are set with lists of rules that must be followed and regulations that must be followed, and oftentimes if we see somebody else in that workforce environment breaking that rule or that regulation, and maybe not getting punished isn't the right word, but disciplined or warned or talked about what they've done, why they've broke the rule and how they shouldn't break the rule, we can often take that quite personally, because it almost feels like a personal attack on us, because we're following the rules and the rules should be followed by other people, and therefore it should apply to everybody. And that can cause us a lot of confusion when somebody breaks rules and we're sticking to rules, and it can cause us a lot of stress and aggravation, and we can ruminate on that, which isn't a negative thing, it's a positive thing, because the vast majority of autistic people, we're law-abiding citizens, and we follow rules and regulations, and we like to follow the law. The third one is creativity. Now, a lot of autistic people are extremely creative people, and that can be you see it often with art, drawings, type in Google autistic drawings or autistic artwork, and you can see the wonderful expression in the art, and that is usually the autistic person's way of communicating. Oftentimes what we can't communicate verbally in drawing or artwork, or it might be, in my case, poetry, writing a poem to express. Oftentimes I'm unable to express how I'm thinking and feeling in words, but I'm able to do it in a form of art, in poetry, for example. And you find that often with autistic people. And so a lot of autistic people go into the arts and the creativity side of things. And so our ability to creatively think, and often thinking outside the box is a real positive attribute that goes alongside autism. The fourth is our attention to detail, and this comes back to what I was saying before about hyperfocusing. And what that means is that autistic people are often able to spot the minute or subtle details that non-autistic people, not everybody, but non-autistic people don't spot. And I often say some of us anyway, make really good detectives. Just a lot of us have social anxiety, so we wouldn't, but if we was able to just sit in our car and watch and observe everything and everybody, we'd be able to spot the subtle changes in our environment that other people wouldn't necessarily spot. The fifth positive thing is honesty. Now, autistic people, by nature, we are quite honest people. Again, I'm not saying that every autistic person is honest, and I'm not saying that autistic people are not able to lie, because autistic people can lie, and especially if there's co-occurring conditions that go alongside autism, because oftentimes it's not just autism that somebody's diagnosed with. Autistic people can also have other co-occurring mental health conditions, and they can sort of overlap and conflict and confuse each other and cause problems. But the vast majority of autistic people are incredibly honest people. The one thing I absolutely hate, and I've hated it my entire life, is when somebody calls me a liar. I seem to have been called a liar since I was a child, and when somebody calls you a liar often enough, when you're not lying about something, because I'm an incredibly honest person, when somebody calls you a liar, and this happens to a lot of autistic people when we're told we're over-exaggerating, we're being too sensitive, you're making it up, you're having a meltdown, you're attention-seeking, you're having a tantrum, you're attention-seeking, you're lying, whatever reason it might be. If we're telling the truth as autistic people and we're consistently called a liar in our daily lives, it has a detrimental impact on our mental health, and it causes a lack of trust in society and with other people. And so autistic people, the vast majority of us, are really honest people, and I think that is an incredibly positive attribute. The sixth positive thing is our ability to creative problem solve. And what I mean by that is, we all have different minds, and everybody's mind's beautiful because we all think uniquely in the world. And so we all have our own ability to spot different things and come up with different solutions, and that's such a wonderful thing. But because with autism, our brains think so differently to non-autistic people, oftentimes we can come up with solutions that non-autistic people come up with, and that is known as creative problem solving. The seventh special attribute is our ability to concentrate or have a long focus time on our special interests. And oftentimes special interests can be anything from the mundane to feeding the bird, to the more bizarre, which I have, which is military stuff and collecting gas masks and potassium iodide tablets, and having weird interests with chemical hazmat suits and all that, which is absolutely innocent, but it's just that I'm genuinely interested in it. I got into prepping years and years ago, doomsday prepping, and I took it a little bit to the extreme, and I got a bit fixated and hyper-focused, and so to this day, it still remains one of my special interests, and I have books on survivalism, and I just scattered around everywhere, and I like to know everything I can know about these things. And so our special interests and our expertise in our special interests can lead us down a career pathway, say for example medicine or chemistry or computer science, or coming back to art, poetry, writing, artwork. And so because we're able to hyper-focus for long periods of time, because we're able to fixate for long periods of time on certain subjects, because we do have special interests, and our special interests often, we take it to the extreme, it often leads us down a career pathway, and we can often flourish if we do decide to go down that career pathway which involves our special interests. And that can be an advantage then to potential employers or patients or colleagues or other people that we know in our life. So if you're an autistic person with a special interest, you're able to hyper-focus and hyper-fixate for long periods of time, know that that is absolutely a positive attribute. The eighth one is loyalty. Now, I'm not saying that all autistic people are the same, because obviously autism is a spectrum, so what affects one autistic person or how one autistic person comes across is different to other autistic people. But the vast majority of autistic people coming back to telling the truth, to following the rules and not rule breaking, to being honest and not telling lies. The vast majority of autistic people are incredibly loyal people, in that if we say something, it's the truth. We often don't lie. Coming back to, obviously, do get autistic people that can lie because we're all different. But one of the main ones, one of the main positive things that goes alongside an autism diagnosis, especially when you look at it from an employment point of view, for example, is loyalty. The 9th one is an excellent memory. Now, this is a real positive thing, although a lot of us can remember small details and we can remember it for long periods of time, which can cause problems because we can remember things that have upset us from many years ago and we can talk about it and ruminate and dwell on it. Is a positive thing, because imagine if you're like working in law and you need to pick up on all the tiniest details, and that is something that is really important in that professional field. That goes for all different types of employment settings, but our ability to remember things from the past. I can remember my national insurance number. I don't know why. I'm weird. I'm very strange, unique, but I don't know why. I just remember random figures, NHS numbers and all that. I don't know why. And other things like the name of my neighbours, I forget. So I don't know why that is. You tell me in the comments below. I don't know why, but it's a real good thing, because sometimes my dad will say to me, I can't remember what did I buy that product for there. It was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'll remember what it was. Where did we buy it for? You know, where did we buy it from? Where did we go to buy it, or whatever? And things that have happened many years ago, I can often remember in the smallest details, and I think that is incredibly good, and it's a real positive attribute with our autism diagnosis. And the final one, the 10th one, is savant skills. Now, I'm no savant, and I don't claim to be, and the vast majority of autistic people, and probably the vast majority of you watching this, are also not savants, but coming back to ability to hyperfocus, creative thinking, long-term memory, remembering numbers, sequences, whatever it might be, there are a small minority of autistic people, a small amount of autistic people in society that have what we call savant skills, and what that is an exceptional IQ, an exceptional memory, an exceptional intellectual ability that goes beyond the normal human in general, the normal collective of education and IQ. These people exceed intelligence and end up working for places like NASA or working for places like Google in the artificial intelligence side of things, and computer engineering, and working on rockets and all that sort of stuff in space, and probably astronauts and stuff like that. So although it is a small minority of people who have autism who also have savant skills, there are those of us, not me, but there are those of us in the autism category that do have savant skills. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this little video, and I hope you're all celebrating Autism Awareness Month. I'll be doing a video hopefully every day in celebration of Autism Awareness Month. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider hitting like, commenting and subscribing, and I shall see you next time for my next vlog.